The following presentation, Unitarian Universalism, is by Jill Granquist, Spring Arbor University. Unitarian Universalism was born out of the merging of Universalism and Unitarianism in 1961. While they are classified as a religious group, they openly reject adherence to a single doctrine or creed. They are brought together instead by their mutual commitment to community and social justice. They come together to encourage and support one another on their search for meaning and purpose and to discover their own personal belief system. With an increasing focus on the importance of spiritual care for healthcare providers, it is essential to learn about a variety of religions and spiritual beliefs. The following presentation will examine Unitarian Universalism in an effort to increase awareness and knowledge so that appropriate care can be provided. The following characteristics of Unitarian Universalism, UU, will be examined: their beliefs regarding a higher power, rituals they embrace, prayers and customs used, demographics, and practices relating to death and dying. Thoughts about higher power. Unitarian Universalists do not adhere to a belief in a specific higher power. In fact, many don't believe in a higher power at all. Because their congregation is represented by such a wide variety of religious backgrounds, thoughts about a higher being range from total atheism to source for all, sacred force, spirit of life, and sometimes even God. However, as a result of many people in the congregation leaving their Christian affiliation, the word God is often avoided and instead replaced with their divine or life force. Rituals. Unitarian Universalists welcome people of all beliefs into their congregation. The body is made up of Buddhists, Jews, pagans, mystics, process theists, religious naturalists, humanists, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, and agnostic. For this reason, rituals are specific to the individual. UU ministers can make excellent chaplains because of their willingness to embrace all denominations. In fact, almost 25% of UU ministers hold positions as community ministers and chaplains. Chaplain Jane Ellen Maudlin explains, "As a Unitarian Universalist, I claim a theology that recognizes that truth flows from numerous sources and that various religious paths can lead us toward a life of love and service. This openness is displayed by Unitarian Universalists while providing care." One hospice chaplain shared his experience of caring for a patient with dementia. The frail woman was unable to speak, but he noticed her repeatedly signing the cross. He brought her a rosary and prayed the rosary with her. Another UU chaplain shared a ritual he offered to a Muslim child suffering with cancer. Together, they whispered a breath prayer, a prayer said over and over in rhythm with breathing, to conquer her anxiety. Unitarian Universalism respects the beliefs of others and therefore offer rituals that honor each individual. However, there are some rituals that are common within the UU congregation. They share a love for nature, so it is often integrated into ceremonies and services. The Dance of Restoration calls everyone to form a circle and hold hands. Each of them holds a flower in which they give to someone whose beliefs differ from their own. This is to represent unity despite their differences. They also hold a sharing of sorrows. During this time, a person verbalizes their sorrow, and then a stone is placed into a bowl. Many of the common rituals are centered around the 7 principles: prayer, customs, and books. The framework for Unitarian Universalism is based on 7 principles that guide their morals and values. These include the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of a democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and finally, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. These principles are the only writings to which they mutually adhere to. A worship service could include readings from the Bible, Dhammapada, Tao Te Ching, and the Bhagavad Gita. Their music is a combination of hymns and secular music, as they search for the sacred in everything. Their search for truth through many religions, science, and life experience is represented by their symbol, the chalice. The chalice represents the many different beliefs welcome in the UU congregation. A UU member offers this explanation. The bowl represents community, and it evokes an image of a Christian cross, but off-center, which is representative of the Christian heritage from which Unitarian Universalism stems. Most importantly, perhaps, is the flame. The flame represents the light inside each of us. It is frequently lit at the beginning of each service. Prayer is not a significant part of this denomination, although it is an acceptable one if someone chooses it as part of their journey to discover truth. Instead, the focal point for UU is community and their 7 principles. These principles are often applied to and lived out through actions like volunteering and activism. They have a long history of participation in social issues, including the pro-choice movement, civil rights, immigration rights, marriage equality, and feminism. The group is credited with a campaign known as Standing on the Side of Love, which promotes the right of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community. They proudly claim to have a legacy of deeds, not creeds, and live out their faith through advocacy, protest marches, prayer vigils, and press conferences. The majority of Unitarian Universalists take a liberal position on sociopolitical issues and envision a future where the community is beyond race or class division. Demographics. In addition to most UUs being liberal, they also tend to be well educated. In fact, their college graduation and postgraduate rates are said to be twice that of the national average. There are currently 1,000 congregations in the United States. Included in this are 161,000 adults and 54,000 children. There are also 30 congregations in the Philippines with 2,000 members, and several other congregations can be found in Transylvania, Hungary, India, Great Britain, and Canada. This non-doctrinal denomination opens their doors to all, regardless of race, culture, gender, sexual affiliation, religion, or age. Universal Unitarians hold their services at a church every Sunday, but they strive to serve in the community 7 days a week through outreaches, volunteering, small groups, and more. Death and dying. One of the many ways UUs come alongside their community is through companionship during times of illness and death. Although they do not provide any concrete answers regarding what happens when a person dies, they do flat out reject eternal damnation and hell. Although worthy of noting is their disbelief in supernatural healing. Holly, a hospice chaplain, described her wrestling with a family decision to pray for their deceased family member to be raised from the dead. Her feelings were so strongly against it that she chose to leave. As a group that embraces science and medicine, they dispute the healings of Jesus. Wayne Arneson explains, what we usually dismiss as faith healing is contrary to almost everything that we usually place a lot of stock in, science, reason, and self-reliance. However, he goes on to enforce the importance of spiritual healing when facing death. The physician in each person is there to be awakened, and there is no single path, no single belief system that forms the correct way for that awakening to happen. He asserts that this can be done through visualization, prayer, and the power of God. A spiritual assessment is an essential part of the care provided to a Unitarian Universalist who is facing death. With such broad beliefs and practices across this group, the care plan would be individualized. The first principle named out of the 7 stresses the inherent worth of every person. Assisting people who are dying should include helping them to know their worth. This could be done through reflection, journaling, singing, or any other tradition that they identify as valuable. The spiritual journey of a Unitarian Universalist is to find meaning and purpose in their life. An important part of care is assisting them in finding what their purpose on earth has been. Although only a small part of the population is UU, it is important for healthcare workers to be familiar with their beliefs regarding a higher power, their rituals, customs, and preferred texts, demographics, and practices related to death and dying. This open-minded group will present with a diverse set of beliefs and needs, but a basic understanding of the Unitarian Universalist will allow for open dialogue and build trust between the patient and the care provider.